Welcome to this week's America with an Accent. By this time of the year, high school graduates are waiting on their college admission offers. Chances are that some of them may face the dilemma of deciding on which offer to pick. How and what should a student consider when deciding on a college offer? Many parents have the urge to participate in this whole college application admission decision process. How can parents help? And moreover, how much should they be involved? Navigating the system is complicated, even more so for parents like me who speak with an accent and may not have a full understanding of the process. What should new American parents do? America with an Accent brings today 3 voices for 3 questions. How can a student, an 18 years old, make a sound decision about the future, choose the right college to go to?
I think they have to visit. They have to look at outcomes, how students do in getting jobs after graduation or getting into graduate programs. And they need to think about the cost and are they making a good investment? And again, looking at those outcomes and seeing long-term success, how long it takes for a student to graduate are the things that I think are important.
One, do your homework, do your research, get past the slick marketing materials, get past the commercials, and really do your research. What's it really going to cost you out of pocket? And really is that leading to the type of career path that you want to go down? But I'd say the second part is do a lot of soul searching. It's really easy to get to buy into some prestigious institutions, maybe in a different part of the country that may be more expensive, but really do some soul searching. If you see yourself being a top executive in New York City, maybe you want to go to a school in New York City. But if you're going to stay home after college, if you're going to come back home, maybe finding a more local institution so that you're meeting your classmates that'll also stick around in that community, that can probably propel you a little further in life. So do some soul searching, make sure you know what you want to do and what you want to be when you grow up.
So I think to me it goes back to the research beforehand. What kind of college am I looking for? So it's trying to find the formula of where am I going to be successful. And things that are important in that formula, in my opinion, are going to be academics. Do they have the majors that I'm thinking about, the minors that I'm interested in? Understanding that we expect students to be exploring majors all the time. One of the benefits of coming to UNO is that you have 200 different options. So you don't have to come with your decision made. This is what I'm going to study. The other question in this formula is what kind of activities do you have for me? In that, how am I going to be happy? How am I going to be involved? What kind of resources do you have, right? So if I enjoy hockey, for example, then how do I get to the hockey games if I am a UNO student? For example, all UNO students are able to go to our sporting events for free. So that's one of the things. Am I interested in Greek life, fraternities and sororities? Am I interested in clubs? Am I interested in chess? Do they have a chess club? If you don't, how do I create that club? These things are important. I would also look at the demographics of the campus, right? Am I going to feel welcomed in that campus? Am I the only female on that campus? Am I the only Colombian in that campus? I'm from Colombia. Those questions to me are important. And also looking maybe at the faculty, right? Who's going to be teaching my class? If I go into a major in business, is one faculty member teaching all the different classes? Or are there different faculty members? What are their research? What are their expertise? So all those things are part of the formula of making the right choice. Visiting the campus is the way to figure out that gut feeling, do I see myself in that campus?
How about parents? Should the parents be involved in this whole decision-making process?
In my opinion, yes. They should help as a guide and a support to their student.
I think parents need to be involved in that. They need to be engaged in the conversation. they should not be the ones filling out the forms, but they should be the ones engaged in the conversation.
Parents should be as supportive and loving as they can be. It's a challenging time for a student to maybe go away from home, and it can be challenging for parents as well. But I think what we're seeing a lot of as administrators in college is that parents are too involved in their kids' academic work and their choices. At some point, if you want your child to be able to survive in the real world, the college is a great place to start letting them make decisions and make choices for themselves. So I would say that the parents should be involved, but in a more supportive role.
And then dictating role, right?
That's
All
just
right.
my opinion.
That's a hard task you gave
Yeah.
parents. And the last question, for parents like myself that speak with an accent and may not have a full understanding of the system, what your advice would be to a parent like me?
Ask questions. Keep asking questions. If you can't get an answer, it may not be the institution for you, but institutions are prepared to accept students, right? We pride ourselves on our diversity and our inclusion of multiple cultures. Keep asking questions until it does make sense to you, because we want you as part of our community fabric.
Call me. Call your admissions person. Call your resource at your high school. Don't hesitate to ask the questions that you have questions about.
First of all, don't be afraid, because there's people with accents also in the university, so we together can figure out your answers for you. You're not alone. Reach out and ask for questions, right? Send that email, even if it says urgent. That's okay, I'll read it. I understand that it's your sense of urgency. Reach out and ask the questions. And even if your son or daughter tells you don't ask any more questions, continue asking questions. It's okay. We are on this together, and I want you to make the decision after understanding all the pieces of the formula, including cost. You know, how much am I going to pay out of pocket? So continue asking the questions until you really know the answer, so you make an informed decision.
Growing up in a former communist country and very isolated, I must say, when I landed to the United States of America, I was fascinated by many new things, and hairstyling, specifically braiding, was one of them. I finally fulfilled an old wish of mine. Kessa Moore, a stylist with over 20 years of experience, braided my hair. Did I like it? Well, you can discover it now as I bring to you a part of my journey to becoming American and understanding the culture of my adopted country. My beautiful braids story.
I'm doing my hair today. I'm at Kessa Moore Hair Salon. Braiding hair has just been something very new to me when I moved to the United States, and I'm finally realizing my dream, having my hair braided. It's a process that should take about 1 hour. Don't know which time. Kessa is going to decide on that.
So the decision can be made either by the client deciding coming in with a picture, or just allowing the stylist to just decide for them. So today you just allowed me to be creative. Yes, so the only instructions was to leave a little out in the back, so that gives me a little leeway.
And how long have you been doing this for, Kessa?
So I have been a stylist for now 23 years. Actually, June of this year will make 24. Yeah, so a little bit professionally, but I kind of started doing hair as a little girl. As a little girl, yes.
Can you tell us about that? How did it start? And
it kind of started, my aunt actually went to hair school, so I grew up in this huge generational house where my grandparents and my aunt and my mom, and so she went to hair school, and I was kind of her model most of the time. All right. And I think just being able to see that all the time, I would play with dolls, and I would braid and cut and color and with crayon or marker with the hair. So it was just kind of something that you learn because your mom or grandmother was braiding your hair. Yes. So for us, at least in our household, braiding or doing the hair was a Saturday event that started in the morning. And it was either between my aunt, it was my great-grandmother, it was my mom, and we would spend time. I'm happy to tilt back just a tad for me. At the time, it didn't seem like a fun event because I'm tender-headed and with tight curls and then pulling through the hair, it just felt a little like a point of punishment. Yeah, so we would sit around and they would shampoo, and it would just kind of be a process that somehow lasted all day. Yeah. So we would go from shampoo and condition, letting it air dry, putting it into sections, and then going back through combing tight, dry hair, and they would either press it or braid it, and depending on whatever style. Usually on a Sunday you wore it kind of pressed. And then during the week, you actually wore it braided, so at least in my family.
Okay.
For church, we wanted it straight and silky and curly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has the process changed a lot? Right now we use a lot of product for hair, but how has the whole braiding process changed based on your experience?
I wouldn't say that it has changed a whole lot. It's still kind of a traditional thing that your families are doing within the home, and then now it has just become where it's more of a career. You have women that are starting businesses and they're doing it outside of the home, and they're actually, created a business with it. So now they're adding hair. I think that's probably the biggest difference, is the adding of the hair and not just using your own hair, but
Is that pretty common right now?
it's pretty common right now. It's been for years, Braids usually last anywhere from a few weeks, a couple months. It can last.
A couple of months? Wow.
But usually if it's just your hair, it's just a few weeks. And so just the consult would be, what are you looking to have done? How long are you looking it for? What is it for? You have a lot of girls that come in wanting braids for protective styles, just to keep from having to do something to their hair on a daily basis. So if you came in, it would be shampooed, conditioned, and blow dried, unless that's something you've already done, and then we'll start braiding. So.
And for the amount of hair that I have, I understand that I'm not doing the full head today, but had I decided to do the whole thing, how long would that take?
Just depending on the style, and depending on the size of the braid, it can take anywhere from an hour to up to 2 hours, depending on what we're doing. But usually about an hour, hour and a half.
Okay. And Kesha, I have a question about the style that can last for 2 months. Do you add products at the end of the braiding process? How can you protect the hair for 2 months?
So usually a braiding style that's lasting too much, there's usually adding hair to that.
Oh.
And so it just depends on the style. So it can be, if it's added micros, so the really tiny small braids, box braids can last up to about 2 months. And the product is added during the braiding service. Okay. And so as far as maintenance after that, we're probably doing something more of like some moisture added to the scalp.
Okay.
While the braids are in.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you can feed your scalp.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what was it about for you that you were interested in braids?
It looks nice. It looks clean. And one of my colleagues, every September, they would go and celebrate their anniversary in Jamaica.
Oh, okay.
And at the beginning of September, she would put she has long hair.
Okay.
I'm sorry, not very long hair, down to the shoulder. And usually she would braid them and have them styled, and it looks nice. But when she was about to go to that trip, it was the big long, she added hair and looked so nice. But it has been something new, and I always wanted to experience that.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, braiding for us is very traditional. It's just something that we grew up doing. It's part of our culture, you know, coming out of Africa, although I'm not from, my ancestors are, and so it's just something that's been just kind of passed down. And it can represent so many different things, but it's become a very popular style for many people and actually cross cultures, braiding. I wore braids for many years when I was younger, growing up. Since as an adult, I've been wearing my hair, I've wore it locked for 5 years, and then I let it loose and kind of wore it curly for a while, and I would have it braided a little bit thin. Since then, I've been actually kind of wearing it, I'm relocking it, so traditionally locking it. So it's not necessary, it's not considered braiding, but just another form of a protective style, allowing my natural curls to be able to kind of grow out.
Okay, so what you're doing is different from locking, right? Braiding is different from locking. And what is the main difference there?
So with braiding, it's something that you can take down. I'm braiding it to the scalp, or I can do it loose, but it's just a temporary style of protecting the hair at that point. Locking it is actually allowing that hair to grow in a casing. So your hair begins to coil and case around itself and mesh together. And so allowing it to grow without having to comb it, without having to, you know, put any tension or anything on it, just kind of letting it grow in its natural state. So I cultivate it by retwisting it at the scalp. You know, I'll do it every 3 weeks or so.
Okay, so what you're wearing right now, that's locking, is that right? And I'm having braids, is that right? Okay, when you do the braiding and you want it to last for like 2 weeks, let's say, do you get to wash your hair in between?
Usually, so if it was braided not to the scalp and braided more of a loose braid, yes, you can shampoo in between. My clients that if we're adding hair to it, you know, sometimes I suggest an astringent or something using like a witch hazel and cleansing the scalp. But with yours, like wearing it like this, no, we wouldn't shampoo in between because it's going to cause it to fuzz. So we can leave it up for the few weeks that's needed.
Okay. And since we're here at the shampooing and we're talking about shampooing, how often do you advise the hair to be washed? You know, I have friends that wash every day, every other day, every week. My hair is really dry, so I tend not to use a lot of shampoo. Okay. But do you have any advice? What's the rule of thumb?
So rule of thumb is really depends on your habits. So each person is different, and so it can be where someone shampoos every couple of weeks, where like right now with me locking my hair, I'm shampooing every 3 to 4 weeks. And so I'm cleansing in between with maybe the witch hazel, spraying at my scalp and kind of wiping with a towel any debris that is laying on my scalp. So it really just depends on the habits. If I have clients that are very active and they are in the gym a lot and they're sweating, they're actually rinsing and shampooing their hair a little more than my next client that would. So it really just depends on the activity of the client and their preference. If you are with me, if I shampoo my hair, once I shampoo my hair, I need to retwist it again. So my hair will expand, and I'm not ready to retwist. So for you, it would be like if you shampooed every week, or if you're not using that much shampoo, or you co-wash or something like that, then I would suggest leaving it that week and then taking it down. Yeah.
And I'm reading a lot nowadays, Kesha, that many people are not using shampoo a lot because they think that it's not healthy for their hair, basically. And I understand that there is some truth in what they're saying. I don't use a lot of shampoo myself either. If someone prefers to use shampoo, is there any advice there? I know that there is a chemical that is not good for your hair, and I don't remember the name of that chemical.
So it's the sulfates that are in it. It's the detergent that they're finding. It's not irritating to everyone. But to some people, they're finding that they have an irritation to it. And with curly hair, they find that it's causing the hair to be a little more drier, makes it a little more fuzzier, and it, keeps from defining the curl. So that's where we kind of come with a lot of the doing a little less shampooing and doing more like a cream rinses or something like that. I advise my clients that you still need to kind of cleanse that scalp. And so even if you are just doing it maybe every other month or so, it needs to kind of do a deep cleanse. But it's not everyone is allergic to it. So if it's not an irritant to you, then, it's not, you can still shampoo with it. But the market has changed to where a lot of manufacturers are doing a lot of sulfate-free shampoos, and there's so many other different preservatives and things that are in products that they're finding that people are having allergy to. And so, we have this big push for natural, and what it is that it's still within the product. You really can't sell a product that's purely natural without some form of a preservative in it, unless you're making it at home. So there's something still in there that's preserving it. But there are some things that are really harsh that people are finding that they're allergic to. So I am closing these off right up here since we're doing halfway with the rubber band. And that way it will stop them from, because with your hair being a little straighter, it will kind of start opening up. So we got one side done, and now we'll do the other side. The challenge is getting the other side to look and match the first side. Sometimes I will go back and forth, but all right. All right, we are just about done. Are you already peeking over there across the?
Yes, I am. I'm liking it.
Good.
Am I allowed to? Am I allowed to?
You are. It's too late now. Can't help with the mirrors. Let's see. But you want me to finish it by putting it up? I can put it up, or you want to leave it down?
I don't know.
You don't know? We could look at both ways.
Oh my God.
So I left a little, just some little sides out, and this is out.
All right.
The curls are really cute.
Yeah.
I just kind of twisted it until it was.
Yeah.
Down, but she already has a nice curl anyway.
She can even
Well,
pull
wait.
just the braids up.
Messy bun.
That's really cute.
I love that messy hair is in because I don't like hair all in the same place all the time. So we had wore it down, wore it up.
All right. My beautiful braids story. This was America with an Accent for this week. I hope to see you again next week here on KPAO or online at newamericansmedia.com, our Facebook page, or our NAM YouTube channel. I am Enkela Vebio.